They ignore you, not because you are weak, but because you are predictable. You speak when spoken to. You smile when uncomfortable. You explain your intentions. You apologize too quickly. You try to be understood. You are easy to read, easy to dismiss. They do not respect you. They study you. The more emotionally honest you are, the more power you hand away. They observe your reactions, your excitement, your hurt, your hunger for approval, your fear of silence. You think transparency builds trust. But in this world, transparency feeds predators. What they see, they use. Let that truth disturb you. The betrayal you felt was not an accident. It was a test. You failed. Not because you were wrong, but because you revealed yourself too soon. They learned your value before you learned theirs. That is how the game is played. Not with honesty, but with restraint. You were trained to please. They were trained to extract. They watch how quickly you reply, how fast you forgive, how badly you wish to be liked. They speak slowly. They respond on their own terms. They reward unpredictably. They never give you certainty, because uncertainty breeds obsession, and obsession keeps you chasing. You want presence? Learn this first. Silence is power. Distance is clarity. Mystery is leverage. The person who speaks less holds more weight. The one who does not flinch controls the tempo. When your mood is stable, they cannot provoke you. When your mind is quiet, their words lose effect. When your face reveals nothing, their tactics fail. You must stop giving them access to your emotional dashboard, your approval, your thoughts, your expectations, your wounds. Close the gates. If someone disrespects you and nothing changes, you just taught them that disrespect has no cost. Never argue, never plead. Withdraw. When you remove your attention, you shift the power. Your absence is not silence. It is a message. Let them wonder where you went. Let them feel the cold. That is how presence is built, not by being everywhere, but by being missed. You do not gain gravity by speaking louder. You gain it by speaking less. When you walk into a room, say nothing at first. Let your stillness do the work. Let your energy settle like a storm just beneath the surface. People sense control. They sense when a person is not grasping for attention, but commanding it. Control your eyes. Do not dart. Do not scan. Let your gaze land with intention. Let it pause. Then move. Slowly, deliberately. Speak as if every word is chosen, and if there is no need to speak, remain silent. Never interrupt, never rush. If someone speaks over you, stop talking. Let them reveal their lack of discipline. Then, when you speak again, make it sharp, measured, final. Presence begins with the refusal to be shaken. They cannot pull you in if you do not flinch. They cannot manipulate a man who does not respond. They cannot test a person who hides no need. When you remove the need for approval, you become untouchable. This is how the invisible rise. Not by pleasing, but by withdrawing. Not by announcing, but by controlling. Not by fighting, but by mastering the silence within themselves. People assume strength is shown by how loudly one speaks, how confidently one moves, how fiercely one defends themselves. That is false. Real power is invisible. It is quiet. It is cold. It does not announce itself. It is known by how others respond to it cautiously, carefully, like they are unsure where the edges are. You must stop broadcasting your position. The moment they can measure you, your need for love, your desperation to be chosen, your fear of being left behind, you have already lost. It is not the strongest who win. It is the least emotionally exposed. Understand this. When someone is uncertain about you, they become careful. But when they are certain, they become careless. If they know you will always be there, they stop trying. If they know you always explain yourself, they stop listening. If they know you forgive easily, they stop respecting the line. Familiarity kills presence. Predictability kills influence. You do not need to become aggressive. You need to become unreadable. Unpredictability unsettles people. It makes them hesitate. It makes them reassess. When they do not know what you are thinking, they speak more carefully. When they cannot tell whether you are angry, indifferent, or bored, they try harder. This is not cruelty. It is strategy. You do not owe the world your inner dialogue. You do not need to confirm or deny how you feel. You do not need to react on demand. Let them sit with silence. Let them guess what you are thinking. Do not rush to fill every pause. Do not explain every decision. Make them work for access. Make them qualify themselves. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. Every time you overgive, overshare, over-explain, you train them to see you as disposable. You think kindness protects you, but unguarded kindness is currency. It is spent by others to buy control over you. They do not always need to hurt you to weaken you. Sometimes they just need to get you talking, open you up, learn your rhythm, then push the right buttons. That is how presence dies slowly, piece by piece, through 1,000 micro-compromises. You must preserve your core. Keep something for yourself. A part of you must remain untouchable, not out of fear, out of discipline. It is not about becoming distant, it is about becoming solid. When people know there is a line they cannot cross, that your attention is earned, not given freely, they behave differently. You become a mirror. They begin to correct themselves in your silence. They monitor their tone. They rehearse their words. Because they feel something they rarely feel, the weight of consequence. Power is not always about punishment. Sometimes, power is the absence of access. You remove the reward. You remove the reaction. You remove yourself. That is how you train people to value your presence. You must stop making yourself easy to consume. You are not a meal. You are a mountain. Let them climb. And when they reach the top, make sure they understand the air is thin up there. Respect is not comfort. It is earned through altitude. You do not need to be cruel. You need to be clear. You need to be scarce. You need to be centered. A person with presence moves like time inevitable, but not rushed. You do not chase. You do not cling. You do not explain. You observe. You assess. You act only when it is time. Because presence is not about being seen. It is about being felt even in silence. Emotions are weapons. Yours have been used against you. You shared your fears. They used them to provoke you. You confessed your doubts. They repeated them in your lowest moments. You asked for clarity. They gave you confusion to keep you close. You thought you were building intimacy, but you were feeding a strategy you could not see. The more someone knows about your emotional terrain, the easier it is to invade. You keep asking, why do they treat me this way? The answer is simple. Because they can. Not because they are powerful, but because you remain available. Your presence is always on. Your guard is always down. They do not respect your emotions because you hand them over without price. Every time you overexpress, they undervalue. Every time you overstay, they lose interest. Every time you overcommit, they step back. People respond not to your effort, but to your control. Those who command presence have mastered one thing: restraint. They feel emotion, but they do not display it for approval. They experience betrayal, but they do not shout it aloud. They want love, but they never kneel to receive it. They make peace with their emotions so no one else can weaponize them. Emotional neutrality is not apathy. It is armor. It is the refusal to let others dictate your inner climate. If someone gives you less effort, do not protest, match it. If someone disrespects your time, do not demand apology disappear. If someone tries to provoke you, do not rise, remain unmoved. Nothing unnerves a manipulator more than silence. They expect chaos. They expect begging. They expect performance. Instead, give them nothing. Let them speak into the void. Let them feel the distance. That is how power rebalances. When people cannot move you emotionally, they begin to question themselves. They wonder what you are thinking. They wonder what you will do next. They realize for the first time that your attention is not guaranteed. Présence demande unpredictability. But unpredictability is not randomness. It is control expressed through subtle variation. Sometimes you answer quickly. Other times, you disappear. Sometimes you agree. Other times, you say nothing. Sometimes you engage. Other times, you observe. This keeps people on alert. It forces them to adapt to you, not the other way around. If they always know how you will react, they stop listening. They stop respecting. They assume you will absorb every blow and still remain. That is not presence. That is submission. You must become untouchable in the emotional realm. Speak slowly. Breathe through provocation. Allow silence to do what words never can. Do not explain your boundaries. Enforce them. Calmly. Without emotion. You owe no one a window into your soul. Not until they have earned it. Not until they have proven their discipline. The truth is, you have taught others how to treat you. And the good news is, you can unteach them. Withdraw the version of you they have become too comfortable with. Remove the apologies. Remove the instant replies. Remove the emotional availability. Replace it with presence measured, grounded, unshaken. This will confuse them. Then it will anger them. Then, if they are capable of respect, it will earn it. Those who thrive on your emotional openness will protest your silence. Let them. You are no longer here to soothe everyone else's discomfort. You are here to become solid. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. They called you kind when they used you. They called you patient when they ignored you. They called you loving while they drained you. Now, they will call you something else. Powerful. Not because you sought it, but because you stopped handing yourself away. If they never fear losing you, they will never value you. People do not respect what is always within reach. They respect what has limits, what demands effort, what can disappear without warning. You teach them with what you tolerate. You train them with what you allow. Every time you excuse poor behavior, you reinforce it. Every time you explain why it hurt, you give them a script. Every time you stay, after they test your worth, you confirm their control. They know exactly where your lines are because you drew them in chalk. Presence means you erase those lines. You replace them with silence, with absence, with consequence. When someone crosses you, do not explain what they did wrong. Let them feel the shift. Do not announce that you are done. Be done. Do not threaten to leave. Leave. Do not debate your value. Enforce it. The moment they realize your presence is not permanent, everything changes. They remember the weight of your attention. They remember the clarity of your silence. They remember that time you stopped responding, and they were left to speak into the void. That is presence, not what you give, but what they feel when it is gone. This is not about playing games. This is about playing correctly. In a world where people posture constantly, the one who remains emotionally composed holds the field. He who speaks last holds power. He who reacts least keeps the throne. It is better to be underestimated than overexposed. Let them assume you are passive. Let them assume you are soft. Then, without emotion, remove yourself. Power is revealed not in noise, but in exit. Your attention is currency. Stop spending it on those who test you to see if you break. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them repeat your name to others, trying to provoke a reaction. You will not give it. You are no longer part of the emotional economy. You are not available for debate. You are not available for repair without effort. You are not available for endless explanation. From now on, you move like consequence. You speak less. You observe more. You detach faster. When you enter a room, do not fill it with volume. Fill it with gravity. Let your presence arrive before your voice does. When someone disrespects your time, say nothing, but never offer it so easily again. When someone questions your worth, do not argue. Let them watch your absence grow louder than your words ever could. You are not here to convince. You are here to command through discipline, through mystery, through silence. If they care, they will adjust. If they do not, you now know where to place them. Behind you. There is no need to fight for space. You are the space. Presence is not what you demand. It is what you exude when you are no longer desperate to be seen. The strongest people are not the ones who shout the loudest. They are the ones who mastered stillness. Stillness in the face of insult. Stillness in the face of rejection. Stillness when others try to provoke chaos. They wait. They watch. They respond only when it serves them. This is not cruelty. This is control. Control of the only thing that matters, the self. You have been too generous with your energy, too available with your time, too predictable with your love. From now on, you let them earn it. Let them work for clarity. Let them wonder what you are thinking. Let them adjust their tone, hoping to regain access to your calm. You do not need to punish. You need only to pause. Because when your presence is tied to your power, silence becomes your sword. Power is not found in dominance. It is found in discipline. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can react. But to remain still when insulted, when dismissed, when underestimated, that requires strength. You cannot fake presence. It is built through control of your face, your voice, your impulses. When you stop rewarding those who test you, they either grow or they leave. Either result is clarity. Most people live to be chosen. They crave approval like air. They shapeshift, they please, they overstay. And they wonder why no one values them. You want presence? Stop begging to belong. Let them invite you. Let them prove they can hold your presence without diminishing it. You were taught to chase, to please, to earn love. But presence begins the moment you stop seeking it from others. It is not given to you. It is taken when you choose to withhold everything they expect. Your kindness is no longer free. Your forgiveness is no longer instant. Your availability is no longer assumed. You are not cold. You are precise. You are not cruel. You are calibrated. This is how presence feels to others. Unsettling. Like standing before someone who does not need anything from you. Someone who sees more than they say. Someone who can walk away at any moment and never look back. And yet, people are drawn to it. Because people crave structure. They crave what they cannot predict. What makes them rise to the moment. When you are no longer available for emotional games, the entire room changes. Those who come to drain you, leave. Those who come to test you, fail. And those who come with respect, stay. Presence is not about taking up space. It is about protecting your own. You protect it by refusing to react. You protect it by refusing to repeat yourself. You protect it by cutting access to those who misuse it. This is the difference between being liked and being respected. To be liked, you must bend. To be respected, you must hold. People fear what they cannot define. Let them wonder where they stand with you. Let them sit in uncertainty. Let them question if they have done enough. That is how you shift from accessible to magnetic, not through performance, but through self-possession. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to observe, to decide, to walk when the standard is not met. This unnerves people, because most are used to power that demands attention. But yours does not. Yours is calm. Yours is quiet. Yours is final. No speeches, no threats, no desperate last words. Just the closing of a door with no explanation. That is how presence becomes legend. Not by noise, but by disappearance. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you gain ground. Every time you choose space over confrontation, you reclaim control. Every time you choose peace over proving, you step deeper into power. Let them feel that shift. Let them feel your absence where they once felt your eagerness. Let them sit in the quiet they created. Because the most unforgettable presence is not the one that says the most. It is the one that no longer needs to say anything at all. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. You do not need to chase to be wanted. You do not need to explain to be understood. You need only to master one truth. When you are unshaken, you become unforgettable. Presence is the art of becoming emotionally sovereign. You no longer ask who will stay. You decide who is allowed. You no longer wait to be respected. You remove those who fail to show it. You no longer fear being alone, because solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your punishment. This is the final transformation. You stop playing for attention. You begin playing for position. You stop asking for clarity. You observe what people show. You stop fighting to be seen. You become the one they cannot ignore. And if they try, if they test you, if they underestimate you, if they assume your silence is weakness, you let them. You do not correct them. You do not defend yourself. You let them learn, as all must, through absence. There is a moment when a person realizes they have lost access to someone whose presence once gave them calm, focus, or fire. That moment cannot be forced. It must be earned by them, not by you. When you walk away without anger, without words, without theatrics, you leave a void. Not because you shouted, but because you never needed to. Power is most terrifying when it whispers. When your face is calm and your steps are slow. When you have nothing to prove, and yet they feel your weight in the room. That is presence. It is not built in a day. It is built through hundreds of decisions. When you bite your tongue instead of arguing. When you delay your reply instead of rushing to fix. When you stay silent instead of correcting the narrative. These small acts forge a spine no one can bend. They harden your center. They sharpen your presence. Until one day, you no longer fear being misunderstood because you realize those who matter will study your actions. And those who do not never deserved clarity to begin with. The world does not respect those who give themselves too freely. It respects those who move like consequence. Becoming that person will cost you your old self. The version of you that needed to be liked, that feared rejection, that waited for validation, that explained every emotion, that begged for peace. You must kill that version quietly, completely, without apology. So a new version can rise. One that is slow to speak, quick to walk, immune to chaos, unmoved by noise, centered in silence. From now on, you do not teach with words. You teach with absence. You do not persuade. You let results speak. You do not demand respect. You become undeniable. This is your final posture. Calm, cold, clear, no longer reactive, no longer seeking. You are the storm that never raises its voice. You are the presence they feel long after you leave. Now move differently. And when they ask what changed, say nothing. Let your silence explain everything. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.